Hey everybody, Edo here, and the good folks at Elf Creek Games have sent along a copy of Honey Buzz, and this game is absolutely decadent in terms of the production value. And I had reviewed Atlantis Rising with them, and they sent this along. Both are worker placement games. Atlantis Rising is like super dense and thick. Honey Buzz is more approachable. I would say this is... It's not quite lightweight entry-level worker placement, but it's got some neat mechanics, and certainly the visual appeal, the art production is gorgeous, and everyone is interested in it. And Hadsek, I think, the illustration here is so beautiful, so fun, so delightful, so appealing. It stands out. And Jason Kingsley does a great job on the graphic design. Paul Solomon, the actual designer, of the game, but super duper impressive. It's so the production value is over the top. You've got the custom meeples. The nectars are actually this rubber material. I think the one thing that you'll sort of be surprised by. The rule book is linen, not only on the cover but every page. Over-the-top Kickstarter, highly successful. I was pretty surprised that it didn't contain an insert. I mentioned this, and a couple people were talking about insert waste and things like that, but I'm just making note that if you're used to this level of quality production, the fact that you just tuck it in bags and put it all in a pile in the box is a little odd. Even the box has a little finger. It's so over the top, it caught me off guard, but whatever, it all fits, which is good. And they gave you plenty of bags. They give you plenty of bags to put stuff in. Then there were other Kickstarter oddities, in the rule books and in the game, these are all referred to as coins, but they're acorns, and there's a couple places where you're these don't look like coins, but we're just going to call them coins. In terms of the game, it's a worker placement with a couple interesting elements to it. So you start with a bee. And you are going to be placing your bee into this region 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots. One of the things that I like very much about this game is the worker placement areas sort of right here and clear. It's not little worker placements around the board. So in terms of teaching worker placement, I thought this was great. You place your bee, and on your turn, you're going to pick up a tile for your honeycomb, dual hex tile. That is your move. We'll talk about more that happens, but essentially you're either placing a bee and grabbing a tile, or you're picking up all your bees. That's standard worker placement. You start with 1, maybe with some other player counts you start with 2, but the one is this larva thing. If you do it, you can add another bee to the board. I'll talk about that in a second, but then over time you collect and have more bees. Game works with a bumping style. I didn't take everything out of all the bags here, but if you have another bee, 1 to 4 players, I didn't play solo mode, but if you have another bee, and this is here, and they took this item, which actually costs money, say they took this item, you could come in and take it, but you need 2 workers, so you just have escalating worker counts. That's worker placement. Pick a spot. If somebody's there, you got to pay 1 more than the person's there. Get more bees. If there are no spots, you got to pick up. Okay, and this is super entry-level worker placement. I really like this part. There's a couple other elements. There's a first to do it victory condition, and then a couple others. Many Kickstarters, there's a gazillion of these options. And then in this lower board, we have the different types of nectar, which I'll talk about to get the nectar tiles, and then the market, which has this market board, and then customers that you're going to be fulfilling orders. So, okay, Ed, I get it. I place a thing, I pick up a tile. Cool. What do? Well, everyone starts with a similar hex. There's a starting one, which is this, but there's 10, 20 more in there you can set up, but we all are going to start with this. And what you're going to do is you are adding that piece to your board. Cool. Easy. You must be making a honeycomb shape, so you can never do super weird things and start breaking it. You're forced to maintain this shape, which is with concentric, if you use that word, hex spots. But when I close a region, I then look at all of the icons within that region, and then I do their abilities. So essentially what you're doing is you're building and then closing, and when you close, you're I'm going to trigger my abilities, and then you do your abilities. This game is super combo heavy, where you trigger abilities, and you get a bonus ability, and ability, which is cool. It does create some odd game flow, where it's your turn, what, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 2, like, especially as the game gets further along. And it's a little bit problematic. It's okay, but there's a lot of like, it's very combo heavy because of the way these abilities line up. In some interesting scenarios, you can do double closures, the way something might close if you set it up, in which case you can only get each icon. You can get multiple icons, but like you wouldn't score if something's like between two concentric circles. You'd only get that one once. Anyway, so, well, I'm triggering these abilities. What are the abilities? Well, one is get a new bee. Pretty easy. One is get 5 coins, which is an acorn. Pretty easy. The others, one is wild. Do any of them. Pretty easy. So that's the easy stuff. The other stuff is you're going to either forage, which is get these nectar tiles. You're gonna, I don't remember like pollinate or like grow. You're basically gonna create nectar, and then go to the market. Those are like your bigger ones. Okay, so forage is something you really ought to and need to do. And when you forage, you have bees, and everyone has their little bee markers, and you're gonna like move one spot across the board in any north, south, east, west. There's this little rule that's like oddly obscure in that like you can pay 2 coins to move an extra spot, which is just not highlighted as much as it should be because it's fundamental, but whatever. You can move a little further than just your forage. But when you stop, if you can take the tile, you take it. If you can't, you get a pollen, which is something you can sell. They're different colors, but the different colors don't mean anything. This is like another of those little Kickstarter nuances. But maybe it's possible that in solo there's more to it. Anyway, here's one of the more harder to wrap your head around things in this game. Each of these types of nectar have color banding around it. And as you're building your hex, given the way that these tiles are set up and the ends of these tiles are set up, you can create this hex over here is all orange or red, or I will call this dark orange. In which case this will fit here. No other type of nectar tile can fit here. But as I build out, depending on how I build out, for example, if I were to build out this way, I'm still maintaining this shape with whatever different tiles. Again, turn over turn. This one has 2 orange and 4 light white, or light yellow, whitish, whatever, which is the acacia, or however you pronounce that one. And so, essentially, what you're doing is you have to, like, everyone has to wrap their head around that the colors on every single one of these are identical. Centers are orange, outside is tan, and based on how you're configuring them, you can create the ability to get these 4 different types of nectar. This is like, it's a bit dense. And like even like we were playing with Emily's parents, and like we had this idea like you had to keep coming from. But as you build up, you get more nectar. And that next ability, pollinate or whatever, is everyone has a little fan token, and you place it, and any adjacent nectars produce. And so I would get this, and I would get this. And that's how we're generating this resource. This resource is to sell. There's some bonus points about how many different types you have and things like that, but generally speaking, you're producing. And like once it's in here, I can do this every turn and keep making more, and then I'm going to sell. Okay, so collecting is really to forage, is really to get these tiles here, is really to produce this thing to then come and sell. There's a couple different concepts here. One is when you come to the market, there's this market value of your good, and every time you sell, you get the number here in coins, which means that coins is your currency for both moving the extra spot with your bee or getting this tile, as well as your victory condition. So there's a little tension there. But if I sell wildflower nectar, I would get 6 and then it would move down 1. So every time somebody sells, it's a little less valuable, including the pollen. And once 1, 2, 3 of these get to the bottom, it might be 4, it might be player dependent, whatever. But I think it's 3. When 3 get to the bottom, again, possibly 4, the game's over. So this is like this decreasing value. Initially, this is where it's at. You're selling a single, and depending on player counts, I think it also might start a little lower. But basically, early on, selling is one nectar gets you lots of money. Great. But progressively, that gets worse. And then we have these order cards at the bottom, which are usually like a couple different things, like these 2 nectars, or a nectar and a pollen, or like different things. I just have some small orders up. You make stacks at the beginning of the game. but there's large orders that have more and are worth more points. There's also another victory end condition. If 2 of these piles empty out, it also is the end of the game. Not victory, but game end. But here you get the value and victory points here in the corner, which are coins. And then you also trigger the ability. So something you might do is like, oh, and you get to do the abilities in any order. So you might like go, spend, pony, special ability, spend. Like it's that kind of combo, which is cool and works. Overall, I like this game. I think it's very pretty. It's hard to imagine this getting taken out of the collection for some time. It struggles a little bit about being simple enough that I think it's like anyone can play. Once you've played it enough, you can explain it pretty quickly. But it's just it's a lot you got to wrap your head around. I don't think anyone could have an easy first play of this. You got to bring your head around it. So I think the other 2 challenges about it is you have these like really disparate turn speeds, and if you're not like a combo type ahead, like it's gonna be a very hard game for you to be successful at. And competitive, I guess, is better than successful. You can play. And the other odd thing that happens is up front there feels like there's this diversity of choices, but as things play and these values go down, everyone and then as more of these are gone based on player count is how many are on here, whatever. There's less and less that you can do. So it has this weird like open, but then the end really feels very tracked. So I think it's very good, gorgeous, not quite great for me, but it's just super impressive. So anyway, this is Honey Buzz. Hey everybody, Edo here, and thanks for watching Gaming with Edo. Reviews over here on this playlist, League and Insider videos over here on this one. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff. But most importantly, play some great games. Thanks.